Hey Nita, how you doing? Oh, back on the pomegranate. I don't know why people ask me to join. Pomegranate juice. I just got to eat everything I can in a 2-hour window. So I've just been smashing food for the last hour and this is my last bit. Eat as much as you can in 2 hours, then stop eating for the whole day, whole night. Fast for around 22 hours, eat for 2 hours, that's it. It's the best way to be healthy. So, I won't eat till tomorrow around 5-6 o'clock. Did you? How many hours? So yeah, one meal a day, but in that meal, I mean, if you do one meal a day, if you're getting a lot of supplements, you can even eat shit. That's good. My last meal was at 5 o'clock yesterday, and I started eating 5. So I did 24 hours today, but I've been eating since 5, so I've been eating for the last 2 hours. And I ended with some fruit. I had a wholemeal pasta, chicken pasta. I had a chicken roll. I had some yogurt. Some potatoes. Not too healthy, to be honest. It was just filling. I was at a big workout, so eat once a day. That is the secret. But not 7 days a week. Like 1 day a week, I'll just eat all day. You know what I mean? I'll eat all day. I'll eat shit. But I'm ending my meals with something healthy for digestion. I'll fast all tonight, tomorrow. I'll probably just have one meal around 5 o'clock tomorrow. So yeah, since I've been doing it, I feel good. Pomegranates are the best because they're not infected with pesticides and all that shit because of its shell. It's protected. I can't eat berries anymore. I can't eat berries. I can't eat strawberries. Unless I wash it in baking soda, I can't eat it. I just know they're full of parasites. Even getting juices at health food shops, I don't know if they've washed their fruit in baking soda. So you gotta really be mindful of that because a lot of the times, hey Karina, how you doing? You know what I mean, Nita? So you go to these shops. I personally think majority of the population has parasites, probably including myself, right? Berries are the worst, KG. They're the worst. Strawberries and berries are the worst. It's full of parasites because they don't wash it and they're very porous and you've got a lot of pesticides, insecticides, all these chemicals that they put in it, and they just breed these fucking, just really toxic sort of chemicals, and they're the breeding ground for a lot of parasites. And then we get these fruits and we eat it, and then it's just so foreign to our body, And next thing you know, we're bloated all the time and we've got gut issues and they say it's the best. No, it's not the best. I think the majority of us are living with parasites. We don't know it because we're so immune to it. And I think that it's accelerating our aging. I think it's making us lethargic. I think it's making us itchy, eczema, psoriasis, a lot of these nervous system sort of issues. I think over time they are cancerous. What's up, Ash? How you doing, man? And I feel that parasites thrive on, glucose. So fasting for most of the day will help kind of starve the parasites. Obviously, a dry fast is probably the most effective way to kill parasites because they're not getting anything to nourish on. But a dry fast is quite challenging and difficult, and I don't recommend it. I recommend people do a cold press juice fast, washing all their fruits and veggies in baking soda, by doing your own juicing, and then just being really mindful of how clean your fruits are. Do that fast first, start cleansing your gut. Then from there, I would do a water fast, right? A water fast, 3 days, 7 days, stuff like that. But people that can't fast, I would recommend, yes, KG, baking soda. So you get your sink, plug your sink, fill it up with water, right? Put baking soda in it and then put a little bit of vinegar in it. It's going to bubble up. And it's going to leave it there for 15 minutes and it's going to start to create the right environment to start to really take out these parasites. You know what? I'll do a video on it. In my next post, how bad it is. And I'll put some videos up on the parasites actually coming out of these berries, right? It is, I'm not saying it's like that with every single serving of fruit, but I'm saying it's not worth taking the chance because parasites are very, very, very hard to kill. So then I take a lot of supplements that will help eliminate parasites. Some of these supplements are clove powder. Clove powder is very, very, very effective in killing parasites. You've got pumpkin seeds, very good to paralyze parasites. Drinking baking soda, the good baking soda, is amazing to kill parasites. Pineapple juice, pure pineapple juice, very good to kill parasites. Then you've got wormwood, another really good product, wormwood, to kill off parasites. Then you've got black walnut powder, another really good supplement to kill parasites. So, you know, and you got to have the right binders as well, right? So the right binders. Now, I'm about to buy some bentonite clay, because bentonite clay will start to scrape the internal lining of your gut. Hey, Eugenia, and a lot of the parasites kind of, you know, bury themselves in the lining. Bentonite clay is good for that. Psyllium husk is a must. You should be having psyllium husk every single day. Yeah, well, you know, we are animals. Our bodies are like animals. So, you know, at the end of the day, I just think that the more I go down this rabbit hole, the more I realize that I have been just feeding my body just whatever is out there. I thought that was healthy without taking the right precautions, knowing that the mainstream kind of medical system thrives on sickness. So it's in their best interest to keep people sick, you know. Parasites are in, like, look, they're known to be in raw meats. Like, you cook chicken, that's good. You cook steak, that's good. It'll kill the parasites, but you don't cook sushi. You know, hey, what's up, Jace? You don't cook sushi. You don't cook a lot of the meats you buy at the Japanese stores. You don't cook them, and you're playing Russian roulette when you go to sushi. You're playing Russian roulette, and you're going into sushi bars, and you don't know if it's got parasites or not. So you're playing Russian roulette. There's street foods overseas. You're playing Russian roulette with street foods because they're sitting out there. Parasites can be in your body for a lifetime. They can be in your body for a lifetime. You know, some people that have IBS, they have chronic IBS for decades. Some people can't get rid of it. And I personally feel, in my opinion, from my research, that people are in disbelief that they have parasites. Now, there are so many different breeds of parasites, but thousands and thousands and thousands. It's hard to kind of, sit there and tell you how many breeds there are. I'm not an expert on how many breeds of parasites there are, but I just know that there is a war happening in your microbiota, which is your ecosystem, your gut ecosystem. It's called your microbiota. It's made up of flora and biome. And in your microbiota, there is a war against the good bacteria and bad bacteria, which is constantly happening to keep your immune system strong and keep you resilient from pathogens and sickness and viruses. Now, when this kind of, is when the bad bacteria starts to win, you start to get sick. You start to get bloated. You start to get kind of lethargic. You start to get cravings for a lot of sugar. All these type of symptoms and things happen. And it's called dysbiosis. The correct terminology for bad or poor gut health is called dysbiosis. So when you're in dysbiosis, there's a shift in the ecosystem in your gut, and that's where a lot of people have chronic gut issues, especially IBS. IBS is a precursor to you kind of leading up to some sort of serious condition, because your body is starting to struggle, your ecosystem is starting to struggle, the gut is starting to struggle to kind of fight off the bad bacteria, right? So I think that's when, you got to start having probiotics. I've ran out of probiotics, so tomorrow I'll go replenish on some sauerkraut, buy some kimchi. I've got some sachets that I'll have tonight. I'll actually show you the sachets. I'll bring it here actually, I'll show you now. Give me a sec. I'll show you the sachets that I take. Alright, so these are the sachets here. They come in these sachets, which is like, you just go to the health food shop, you get these sachets. They're very strong, and they've got so many different strains. There's 5 grams, 14 strains of probiotics. So they're very good. Just open the sachet up. I don't think sauerkraut goes off as long as it's refrigerated. I don't think it goes off, because the longer you leave it in there, the more bacteria just kind of breeds. But that is a very good question. I'd definitely Google that, but my personal opinion is it doesn't go off. So all I do is just I'm just going to put a bit of this back. Look at this. I'll just add the probiotics to my drink. And they taste so good. It actually has this really nice taste that I don't mind. So I'll get this. Then I've got another one. It's got 60 billion types of probiotics. Yeah, because the doctors don't know how to cure IBS, because they don't want to cure IBS because they make a lot of money from it, and they have no idea when it comes to doctors aren't gut specialists. They haven't been trained in gut health. They have no idea about gut health. None at all. So they could not tell you. So I'll take the sachets, I'll open it, and I'll just put these little bad boys in here too. Actually, I'll just eat these. They're fine. So then I'll just mix up the the powder from the sachet. Amazing. It actually tastes really good. So having a strong gut is so important. So important for digestion, for everything. And I think that before you start training, before you start doing breath work, I think you should go to the health food shop, spend some money and buy some probiotics. And, you know, this is a field that not many people, like, it's only coming to the surface now how dominant and how evident it is that our food is full of crap. Not just crap in terms of like genetically modified, you know, nutrient sort of malnourished, but crap as in for all the pesticides and all the sprays that they use. And then especially with parasites now, more and more people are becoming aware of how common parasites are within the food we eat. And I think that most people have parasites. Some it's just more dominant than others. And I think because of, you know, your good bacteria, we keep them at bay, but it's very important to have a good probiotic game in your health. This isn't I do daily parasite cleansing. So, you know, if you wanted to do a proper parasite cleanse, you could just research so many different ones on the internet, because you've got to have your probiotics, you've got to have your binders, you've got to do your fasting. There's a whole protocol, you know, on a parasite cleanse. But if you're like me and you're just kind of maintaining good health, you'll take supplements to kind of, you know, build up your gut, and to kind of help eliminate whatever parasites you may have. I'm just at maintenance level. I don't have any serious effects where I have to do a full-on parasite cleanse. But that's not to say that I shouldn't. It's just you got to be in the right form of mind to do it. Like, it does take a bit of work. Well, you'll know if you need to cleanse your gut if you're always getting bloated after every meal. I mean, that's a big sign, is that, you know, and you're craving, fucking hell, and you're craving a lot of sweets. Excuse me for a second, I've got pomegranate juice all over me. So I just got juice all over me. Yeah, you know, if you need to clean your gut, you can feel it. I mean, I'm just really paranoid when it comes to gut health, because I know that having a strong gut is just going to keep you healthy. You know what I mean? So looking after your gut is just so important. And, you know, people go to the gym and they do all these other things religiously, but they've got a poor gut game. Pumpkin seeds is a very important, you know, like there's a really good shake you can make. You get papaya seeds, right? You get papaya seeds, you get pumpkin seeds, you get the actual papaya, and you get a bit of bone broth, put it in there, mix it up, you know, with a little bit of coconut water, a little bit of honey, a little bit of turmeric, little bit of black pepper, and a little bit of cayenne pepper, and you've got this really nice smoothie, gut health smoothie, with a kick. Cayenne pepper is also amazing to get rid of parasites. Now, I've got some cayenne pepper here. This is gonna fucking kill. But you know what, I need to do it. It's fucking nasty. Oh. That's a hard one to fucking digest. Wow. This is just a concentrate. Cayenne pepper is a game changer. It pumps you up, pumps the body up. You actually feel like you've taken something. Do I need to take a triple probiotic? What do you mean by that? PTZ. All right. Good for blood. Yeah, it's amazing for blood, Lisa. My friend's mum was having a heart attack, and before the ambulance could come, they gave her heaps of cayenne pepper, and it revived her. I recently seen communicating with dolphins is banned, but they help women when they're pregnant. Dolphins help so much, man. They've got such a strong connection with kids with Down syndrome, pregnancy, because they can sense the baby through the ultrasonic waves, and they're just very they gravitate towards that. They've just got a sixth sense, under the tongue. Spiritual Caveman says you're an atom, protons, neutrons, electrons, protons, neutrons decay and die, electrons live forever. Electrons are a wave. They're a wave of, just a field of energy. You can't kill energy. So I do agree with you, my friend. Oh, all right. That was spicy. My God. So yeah, guys, gut health. Gut health is very important. That's why the fasting is, I've got to finish this food in the next 10 minutes. And then that's it. I'm cutting off at 8 o'clock. No more food. And then tomorrow I'll probably eat around 5. So tomorrow's fast will be 21 hours. Even 22 hours. But again, I think a good intermittent fast is around 20 hours to 24 hours. I think if you can get 20 to 24 hours a day fasting, I think you'll start to see a lot of changes. My moods have been quite weird. I've only started for the last week, and my mood, I still haven't fully adapted, so I'm still getting like a lot of mood swings, because I'm not fully in ketosis yet. So I think once I adapt to the 1 meal a day properly, I'll start seeing the full benefits. But in terms of muscle mass and body fat, I'm looking a lot more leaner. Muscle tone's great. I'm not losing much muscle at all. Still training. Training is good because that's keeping the hypertrophy. The resistance training is allowing the muscles to stay strong. Doing more cardio. I'm sleeping a lot better. I am sleeping a lot better. I can tell you that. From doing the 1 meal a day, sleep patterns have improved. I'm not going to the toilet in the middle of the night like I used to. That's why I've got to cut off now. The juice. So it's the 3-2-1 rule. You shouldn't eat 3 hours before bed. You shouldn't drink 2 hours before bed. And you shouldn't be on your phone 1 hour before bed. I think that ritual there is a very basic but very powerful ritual to set yourself up for a good night's sleep. Spiritual Caveman says, try fasting 7 days once a month. You'll see a massive change in your frequency. It takes a lot of strength to do that, Spiritual Caveman, and I don't think I'm at that stage yet to do a 7-day fast. I think I'll stick to 1 day a meal for now. But it's not saying... I have done a 7-day water fast. It is fucking extremely difficult. It is not easy. Really, Ash. Excellent, man. I've just started. Did it take a while for you to see the benefits? And when you do 1 meal, do you just have it in one seating? Or do you... Because I extend that 1 meal for around 1 or 2 hours. I'm just eating, trying to get in as much calories as I can. You see, I bet you would, man. There's a lot of spiritual clarity that comes with fasting. That's what a lot of the ancient cultures used to practice in fasting. And a lot of your impurities come up as well. Because when you're not so addicted or attached to food, you got to deal with a lot of the shit you've been suppressing. So that all starts to come up as well through fasting. So fasting isn't a cleanse just for the body. It's also a cleanse for the mind and the spirit. I don't think we need to eat every day. I think that is just a conditioned belief because our ancestors didn't have food every day. Our ancestors went days, weeks, months without food. So evolution has equipped us with so many amazing sort of releases. Releases meaning like your body will start to release these premium, hormones and chemicals. You got to remember, our ancestors, when there was no food, they wouldn't sit there and go, oh my God, I'm so lethargic, I haven't eaten. They'd be like, oh my God, let's go hunt. So evolution equipped them with this response that when there's no food and they're in starvation, they start to release a lot of premium hormones and chemicals so they can go and hunt and survive. And this is where the DNA has been programmed to go through famine and feast. Not feast. I mean, and that's how we are in Western culture, is that we eat 3 times a day, which is bullshit. So we're continuously, stuffing our mouths full of food, not giving our digestive system a rest, and we're all getting sick way before our life expectancy. So I realized that, and I'm cutting down to 1 meal a day. I went from 2 meals a day to 1. I have to do slow kind of changes. I can't just go and do a 7-day fast or a 3-day fast. I have to slowly, methodically, taper down, whereas maybe spiritual caveman has the mental and spiritual strength to do these 7-day fasts, which takes a lot of courage and discipline. But I like to be more, for me, I've got to be very small and incremental, in my changes in food. So at the moment, I'm happy that I can sustain 1 meal a day. It's something I can see myself doing. And I've spoken to people that are very wise, and they all eat once a day. They all eat once a day, they all eat once a day. I remember watching this documentary when I was young, and this Japanese scientist would talk about eating once a day, and he was like 90 years old. He looked like he was 60, and he goes, I only eat 1 meal a day, and this is the meal. He has his fish, his avocado, his nuts, water, whatever, and it's the same time, 1 meal a day, and he goes, this is the secret to my health and well-being. It's 1 meal a day. I didn't understand it then because I had a bodybuilding mentality, but it was that 1 meal a day, 1 meal a day. When is the best time to eat that meal? I would say around from 4 to 6 o'clock would be ideal, because you want to give as much time to digest. So when you go to bed, you're completely digested, so your body doesn't have to use energy to digest, and it uses that energy to replenish and recharge. That would be the logic, and that makes a lot of sense to me. My brother-in-law, God bless his soul, got sick, got leukemia, passed away, and it's because I feel that he used to work night shift, come home late, and he used to have these big meals full of meat and full of whatever, and he used to just stuff himself up and go to sleep. And I think it was just too much for his body to process. And over time, I don't know what happened epigenetically, but it triggered, cancer within him. Now, I'm not saying that was the cause, but I'm just saying that, assessing his lifestyle, that was the only thing that I felt when I got told that was probably not ideal, because continuously eating big meals, especially meat, and the meat we get, crap, going to bed, straight to bed with this full stomach, over time, your body just can't handle it. Your body, and I had another friend of mine that had some health issues, hadn't seen in a while, and I said, he goes, I had some blood issues, and I said, what happened? He goes, believe it or not, just from the shampoo and deodorant that I was using. He goes, I don't know, but his blood became contaminated. From all the biohazardous chemicals that we put in our body. So I stopped using deodorant. I just use roll-on now. I don't use shampoo at all. I do not use shampoo. If I do, it's natural. I use natural body wash. I don't use shampoo. I don't even use, if I do, it's natural. I got off that a long time ago. And yeah, keep it natural, keep it healthy, and be mindful. I just think that you want to beat life. You want to beat life. You want to be here, and you don't want to get the C word. My heart goes out to anyone that's going through the C word, and I know how challenging it is because I've seen family members go through that. And I think that's just kind of put a lot of motivation within me to beat that. And I think once you get into your 40s, you got to be mindful that you're not, hey Shada, you're not in your 20s anymore, and everything that you're doing now is either setting you up for good health or setting you up for kind of dis-ease, you know. And my next step is to I've got to go get a colonoscopy in the next couple of weeks. So making sure that the colon is nice and healthy, you know, once every 5 years in your 40s, I think is very recommended. I think they recommend it in your 50s, but I feel that you should do it in your 40s, personally. So I'll go get. I've actually got it in my phone somewhere. I've got to get a prescription for. I've got the reference. So I'll go do that. Make sure that's all good. And then that will tell me whether I should be on a 7. If I do a colonoscopy and they're like, "Oh my God, you've got some issues here," I'll do exactly what Jason's doing. I'll jump straight in to a 7-day water fast, because you can't muck around, you know. But if I come back and they're like, "You know what, your colon looks great, it's healthy," then I'm like, okay, whatever I'm doing, I'm maintaining, because that's going to be the first sign that your health is, you know, your diet and your health has led to sickness in your colon. Now, your colon is the elimination point, and when you got a bad gut, it's going to kind of accumulate this sort of sickness in your colon. So, you know, a lot of, it's very, you know, once you're in your 40s, 50s, colon cancer is very, very kind of dominant, especially with men. And it comes with, like, you know, bad diet and the accumulation of all these kind of foods and processed foods and all that kind of stuff. So I'm 41 now, so I've got my referral. I've just got to ring the doctor and book it in, a colonoscopy. And then if that comes back and it's unhealthy, I'll be doing a 7, like I'll go straight into monk mode, you know. I'll just fast, and the only thing I'll put in my body is just very simple, healthy foods after the fast, nothing else. And I don't care how skinny I get, I don't care how I look, because I understand that it's for the greater good. Angela says, every angle every angle I look, I'm 52. How old are you? Are you 52? Or are you saying you look younger than you look, Angela? I'm on a 7-day fast right now, finding my natural state of mind. That's great, man. It takes a lot of strength to do that, spiritual caveman. So, I mean, you know, those who can do a 7-day fast. So you're 52, Angela, and you look 52. Well, that's good. You know, at least you're not looking older than your age. But and you're a vegan, which is good. So, I mean, you're looking after yourself. That's the main thing. You know, main thing is you're 52 and you feel 33. Well, that's important. That is very important. All right, I've got to finish this juice because I don't want to drink anymore. And that's it. We're done. We're done for eating for the night. 8 o'clock cut off. Yeah, I can do it, man. I just want to go see how healthy my colon is first. And then I'll do it, you know. But I know the benefits of fasting, man. You're preaching to the choir. I think it's amazing. You want anti-aging benefits, you fast. You know, autophagy is when, it's a scientific term, when the cells start to replenish themselves through this process called autophagy. Only when you're in starvation or in this caloric deficit mode through fasting, it's almost like the cell starts to clean itself out and gets rid of all the junk and gunk and crap and stress, and it almost gives itself a refurb, a renovation. And when every cell starts to do that, then there's a lot of anti-aging benefits that come with that. So, no one really knows when you get into autophagy. They say between 2-3 days, but I feel that if you're fasting every day, you're also tapping into something that has anti-aging benefits. Let me ask Harmony about that. 1 second. Hey Harmony, fasting once a day, meaning eating once a day over a long period of time, would that tap into autophagy?
Yes, Oscar, eating once a day, aka OMAD, 1 meal a day, absolutely taps into autophagy, especially if done consistently. But let's break it down clean so you understand why and how far it goes. What is autophagy? Autophagy is your body's built-in cellular recycling program. When you fast long enough, your cells start cleaning house. Damaged proteins get broken down, old cells get dismantled, inflammation drops, energy gets reallocated to repair and longevity. It's like hitting the reset button at the cellular level. How long until autophagy kicks in? Autophagy starts to ramp up around the 16 to 18 hour mark of fasting, and it gets stronger the longer you fast, especially past the 24-hour mark. So with OMAD, where you're fasting 22 to 23 hours daily, you're entering mild to moderate autophagy every day. Do that long term, and yes, it creates a compounding effect. More cell renewal, slower aging, better metabolic efficiency, reduced risk of chronic disease. But a quick warning. If you're doing OMAD long term, make sure you're eating nutrient-dense meals, not just low-calorie junk. You're not under-eating for too long. That can backfire hormonally. You allow for refeeds or cycling occasionally, especially if you train hard or lose too much weight. Autophagy is powerful, but it's a stress response, and your body needs to balance stress with nourishment. Final hit yes. Daily OMAD puts you into a light autophagy state regularly. Over time, it's like compound interest for your cellular health. Want deeper autophagy? Throw in a 48, 72-hour fast once a month. That's where it gets truly regenerative. Want a visual map of how autophagy kicks in hour by hour? I can make one.
Yeah, so the longer you fast, obviously, the more autophagy will be kicking in. But I feel just from my own personal experience, if you're eating once a day, I think you can still hit autophagy. But it's the window of how long you're in autophagy is greatly minimized to someone that's fasting 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. And again, no one really knows, no one really has, a scientific instrument to sit there and pinpoint when autophagy turns on and turns off. There's a lot of information on the internet that would really highlight that it takes 72 hours, as Spiritual Caveman is saying. But again, I just feel that there's a lot of benefits in eating once a day, fasting for around 22 hours. I think that accumulated over time, months and months and months. I think that, you start to accumulate the time that you own autophagy, even though you're only hitting it maybe minutely every day, but it accumulates. And everyone's different. I just think that when there's not a lot of shit in your body to process, I think it's easier to hit autophagy. When there's a lot of shit in your body, like if I've never fasted before and I decide and I've had a really bad diet, well, 24 hours isn't going to get me into autophagy. It's probably going to take me 4 or 5 days to get into autophagy. But for someone that's fasting every day, I think that your body has more time every day to flush and process out all this shit. So over a couple of weeks, then it's easier for you to hit autophagy. Over a couple of months, it's easier for you and quicker for you to hit autophagy compared to someone that has been, stuffing their stomachs full of food for decades. That could take 4, 5, 6, 7 days to hit autophagy because there's so much crap that has to be processed. So it's different for everyone. And again, the longer you fast, obviously, the more benefit. But it's something that I'm really into now. And something I'll be exploring. The next is I'll probably do so once 24 hours becomes very easy to hit for me, I'm going to go into the 48-hour fast, and start doing, because I don't want to do it. I need to kind of build up the fasting stamina, and I want to do it in a way that's sustainable. Whereas in the past, I've done a 7-day fast and I haven't done it for a year or two. I've done a 3-day fast and I haven't done it for a year or two. I want to slowly build up 24 hours, so it's so easy for me to do 24 hours. Then I want to build up to 48 hours, where I can do 48 hours twice a week, once a week. 48 hours is nothing to me. Then once I do 48 hours and I master 48 hours, I'll do 72 hours. And I think that it's very important for me to be incremental and methodical in a habit that I want to be doing for the rest of my life, so I can really sustain it. Fasting for me is something that should be done all the time if you're serious about your health. Thank you, Angela. And I think that, like Jace is religiously fasting all the time. He's like a fasting warrior and he's been doing it for years. But for someone new, like myself, in regular fasting, I need to make sure I build up the stamina. If I jump into a 7-day fast, I'll be so turned off it, because it is extremely difficult, that I won't do it for another year or two. So whereas now it's easy for me to eat once a day. Before I couldn't eat once a day. I had so many issues come up eating once a day, and it was a lot of my own programming, from the body dysmorphia, thinking that I was losing weight, to, the impulsive, urges to eat, to my mind telling me I was lethargic, I need to eat. There's so many defective programs that would surface. Whereas now, all that's been overrun by new programs, and fasting 24 hours a day is very easy. Fasting 20 to 24 hours is very, very simple, very easy. It's not even a question, and I actually feel good when I start to get hungry. When I start to get really hungry, I'm like, yes, now like good things are happening. Whereas before I started to get really hungry, I'm like, oh my God, I need to eat quick. Oh, maybe I'll just go to Macca's because I'm on the run, or I'll just go get some fast food. I had a completely different sort of program to the feelings of hunger. And today, the feelings of hunger make me feel like, hey, there's so many benefits that are happening in my body. I'm going to kind of, prolong this a little bit more. So I feel like I'm winning, health brownies each time I am prolonging my fast and sustaining from eating, abstaining from eating. So now I'm super full. I've been eating for the last 2 hours non-stop, super full. So I'll let that digest for the next, I'll go to bed around 11, 12. I'll let that digest for the next 3-4 hours. Have a good night's sleep. I'm not going to drink any more liquids. And then, wake up in the morning. And then tomorrow I'll go get all my nice meals. Because when you eat once a day, you've got time to prep for your meal. So you'll kind of fantasize about what you want to eat. Because you're not eating so much that you really appreciate that one meal. So I'll be thinking, okay, I want to eat my avocado. I want to get my nuts, seeds. I want to get a fresh juice. What else do I want to get? Okay, I might eat a bit of chicken, some rice. So I'll plan out my meal. I'll go to this place, that place, make sure it's all ready. So when I go eat that one meal, I'm so hungry. I even started praying now before I eat, just to give thanks to, just gratitude for the meal, and really showing awareness to my brothers and sisters that don't have a meal. I never used to do that when I used to eat a lot. So I think it's very honorable to pray before you eat, because there's a lot of people out there that don't have food. And I think that just because food's at our fingertips, it's something that we shouldn't take for granted. And to have that compassion, it just kind of shows respect to others that are in unfortunate situations and not taking for granted what you have. And look, that's important to me now anyway, just to be grateful for a meal and show that gratitude. And I can start to see, my perception changing to the way I look at food now. And especially from, like I said to you, if I've got a juicer, so I'm going to invest in a cold press juice now. You can get some really good, if you've got around $1,000, you can get some really good cold press juices. And then I'll go buy all my fruits and veggies. I'm going to put them in baking soda, and I'm going to cold press juice everything. And I'll show you guys that if you're interested. We can share our journey on kind of implementing some really good habits into our daily life. And I think when you eat once a day, you've got the motivation to go buy these kind of, gadgets to make really healthy meals. But when you're eating all the time, Uber Eats, fast food, you don't give a shit. You don't give a shit about eating well, because everything is like, you just don't care, because everything's such a convenience that you just have to tap a few fingers and a few buttons, and food's at your door. So I think when you starve and fast, you appreciate food a lot more. And you won't, I personally think you will beat the C word. You will beat cancer if you start fasting. I don't know many people that fast that get the C word. I don't see it. I see people that are overweight. I see people that are unhealthy. I see people that are stressed. Not in all cases. Obviously, there's, you've got genetic predispositions, and some people are very unfortunate that certain genes are activated. But there's a majority of people that it's within their own sort of lifestyle choices. G'day, Fly, mate. How you doing, man? Within their own lifestyle choices and poor eating habits that will create the right environment for them to become sick. And then when they get sick, it's such a shock. Oh my God, like, I'm sick. How could I get sick? And it's like, dude, you've been eating crap. You've been smoking. As a therapist, I've heard a lot and seen, absolutely, Angela. What kind of therapist are you again, Angela? Can you tell me? I forgot. I recommend, if you're listening to this and you've never done the 1 meal a day, I really encourage you to try the 1 meal a day. Fasting. It's not really fasting, it's just a lifestyle change, because you want to be able to sustain it forever, just eating once a day. And like, you're going to have days where it's like, you know what, I like to eat on Saturday. I like to eat whatever I want, whenever I want. Just give myself one day to indulge in everything, because that's just, my little day off to go out there and just kind of be human and eat all the nasty things that I love, all the sweets. But I can afford to, when you're fasting 6 days a week, you can afford to have 1 day a week where you just eat crap. Because you're not even going to eat that much crap until you get full. And now I did that last Saturday, and I tell you what, I just ate a few sweet things, and it felt like it was burning a hole in my stomach. I tried it today. I look forward to my first meal. Yes, Nita, excellent. It's going to be great for your bodybuilding, because you're going to be able to see a lot of benefits in terms of your body fat. Your soul is speaking through your emotional way. Absolutely, man. So I guess you get to a certain point in your development where these changes just become, something that is just happening. It's just happening, I'm just becoming aware of it. But my soul is incrementally putting me on this path, because it wants me to be on this path, because it knows that it's going to prolong my life in this trajectory. For the work that I need to do here on this earth. So, yeah, guys, try it out. Let me know how you go. And you can always reach out to Spiritual Caveman for some advice in fasting. The guy is an absolute guru when it comes to fasting. But for now, I will only be doing the 1 meal a day fast. But let's see what my colonoscopy says. All right, so let's now get into some juicy content. Excuse me. So I put up a post today about Deepak Chopra. One of his greatest speeches that I kind of resonate with, that I find out of all the stuff I've watched on him. And what I like about Deepak Chopra is that he's a very scientific sort of guy, but he has a wealth of knowledge and insight when it comes to spirituality, quantum physics, self-awareness, self-discovery, self-inquiry, all that kind of stuff. So in this speech, and I love his delivery, because he has such a scientific approach to it, and sometimes I need to hear it that way, because it kind of just, reinforces the scientist within me, So in his speech, and you can find it in my page, he talks about, what we discover throughout our own journey and and what we learn to discover when we start to tune in to the nature of the self is that the space in which it's manifested from is very non-local. Hey Shirley, very non-local, right? Meaning that if you look at your body as being localized in space and time, like this is space, that's time, you've got a body that's local, it's tangible, it's physical, it's alive. But there is this essence within you that is non-local. It can't be measured through any instrument. You can't measure consciousness. You can't capture consciousness. You can't kind of confine consciousness. So we'd have to say that it comes from a non-local position, right? So this non-local kind of consciousness has now encompassed itself in this localized vessel to experience reality. So reality becomes this experience in which we process information. That's all we're doing is processing information. That's all you can do is process information. Think about it. We are processors. We're no different from a computer. We are a genetic, biological computer. We are no different from a computer if you really think about it, because the brain is they call it your central nervous system, right? Which is like a CPU. It's like a processor. So your perceptors or receptors generally in this section, your eyes, nose, mouth, ears, right? Your senses, they are processing information. Information is coming in through vibration. And then when it comes in and transferred through your perceptors, it gets translated into electricity, electrical impulses, which is then processed through your central nervous system, your CNS, and then there is a projection. It puts it all together and projects it out into reality as an experience. So it's vibrational information coming in, being stored, being processed as electricity that then forms a memory, and that memory is stored in the subconscious, which becomes data. It is data. You are no different from any other computer in the mechanism, in how it kind of operates on a level of system, a system of thought, the system of thought. Now, this is an operating system. It's an instrument. So information comes in, vibrational, electrical impulses, it gets then kind of, it gets clustered into the one sort of projection as reality, but then it forms a memory. And as you start to form memories, they form neural networks, and these neural networks, clusters of neurons that, kind of gang up together, are then the basis of these programs that govern your attitudes, your behaviors, your propensities, your impulses, your actions, your reactions, your thoughts, your feelings. These are all just programs, which is just no different to algorithms that then will make you feel attracted to certain things and you repel from certain things. So you're sitting here feeling a certain way, but you've got all this data within your system, your operating system, that's telling you from past experiences what to like, what not to dislike. I'll give you an example. You go into a restaurant, you get food poisoning, you're sick for a week. Information, memory, subconscious. Then your friend 6 weeks later says, hey, we're about to go to that Italian restaurant, do you want to come? Information, signals that are associated with a memory, and you respond from that memory because you had a bad experience by saying, no, I don't want to go there, because the memory, which is subconscious, is creating this feedback loop to remind you on a level of your nervous system what happened last time. And because you're going to get this feeling or sensation that's projected from the past, you're going to be like, no, I don't want to go, because you don't kind of resonate from that. You don't resonate with that, right? You're not attracted to that. So this is what predeterminism is, predeterministic programs. We have predeterministic programs that kind of govern our attitudes, our behaviors, our likes, our dislikes. So this is where the big debate kind of comes when philosophers talk about free will versus predeterminism, right? It's a big debate that philosophers have, because they know that the brain has already made the choice before you're consciously aware of it. They've done tests to prove that. You think you're making a choice, but you're not. You're becoming aware of a choice. That's the difference. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, it's because you haven't inquired deep enough to understand the mechanism of how this operating system works. And we become victims to that. So it's almost like this is a biological genetic computer, right? Since you're born, you're born with like a fresh sort of slate, and you're just awareness. You're just looking around, a baby's looking around, and all this information starts to come in. And as this information is coming in through its reality, through its programmers, the parents, through its culture, through its media, through its friends, family, this information is then building concepts, which are memories, which is then conceptualizing a framework of reality, which is projected into their experience, which then kind of defines how they navigate their space. Now, over time, as they start to get programmed, an identity is born. Because when a baby is born, it doesn't know where it is, who it is, it doesn't know its gender, it doesn't know its name, it doesn't know anything. It just is open to whatever it's programmed with, right? After a certain point, their identity starts to form. The ego construct starts to hardwire itself, and it starts to discover me. Me. My daughter, everything she picks up, it's mine. Everything is hers. Everything is hers because she has started to identify her I is identifying with everything as an extension of her. It's mine. This is mine. My. And if you take that off her, what's going to happen? She's going to throw a tantrum because she's losing a part of herself. Because she is finding herself in objective reality. My. Every parent in this chat, you understand what I'm saying. My. Me. You take that, nervous system, dysregulated, tantrum. This is me. I lose a part of myself. So as we get older, our identity is reinforced and hardwired even more. It strengthens so much that this ego starts to develop. And when the ego starts to develop and becomes so hardwired, it has this conceptualized understanding of who they think they are. I am male, I am Oscar, I like this, I don't like this, and these become all the qualities and characteristics and gender and labels that I define my character with, which then becomes the basis or the setting of me, of I. Are you guys with me? Am I making sense? Please let me know if I don't make sense. Don't let me carry on this psycho babble if I'm not making sense. Pull me up, because sometimes it makes sense to me. I don't know if it makes sense to you. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Namita. So then, then you get to a point where as you start to become, hey Ty, what's up, man? As you start to become more aware and you start to go deeper into the rabbit hole of who am I, and it's just the same for all of us, you start to recognize, hold on a minute. So if this is a matrix, the metaphor of a matrix, meaning we're living in a simulation, okay, well, this avatar is a character, right? It's a character. It's no different from a video game. So this avatar, which is a physical, genetic spacesuit that we need as a vehicle to transport what? The consciousness. Now, consciousness is just a 13-letter word we use to describe energy. What is energy? We don't fucking know. No one actually knows what energy is because they can't measure it, they can't confine it, they definitely cannot define it. So they just call it energy, they call it consciousness. In the East, in the West, we call it spirit, we call it soul, we call it chi, we call it prana, we call it ka. We've got many different names for this spirit, but let's just call it animation. There's this animation because if you go to a funeral, you see a corpse, it's not animated, is it? There's no animation. And then if you're reviving someone, the animation comes back and they're alive again. So you have to agree with me that there is this animation. Now, if there is this animation and it's non-local, meaning that we can't define it, confine it, measure it, capture it, then it has to operate from a higher dimension, because this is a dimension called Earth in which we kind of navigate through this experience. But the animation has encompassed itself in this avatar so it can experience the density of this 3D reality, this electromagnetic spectrum, which is only experienced through the avatar because the vibration density matches the density of the electromagnetic scale on Earth. Because consciousness itself, or the animation, vibrates too fast to move around in this reality because it is in a higher dimension. So it has to then condense itself from a non-local field to a localized field to have a physical experience in this solid reality, because solid physical reality is a very slow, dense vibration compared to thoughts, which is a very fast, because the speed of thought is faster than the speed of light. We know that, right? It's a very fast frequency, but consciousness, which thoughts are a expression of consciousness, observed in consciousness, right, is even faster. So it vibrates somewhere else. I don't know where it is. It's in the ether. It's in a very non-local field that it localizes in the avatar. So then you start to kind of observe and you start to put these pieces together going, okay, we are in this multiplayer dimension called Earth. Multiplayer, you, me, and every other living being, organism. We all have our headsets on. We're conscious agents through the work of Donald Hoffman that explains this. We're all conscious agents playing this first player character, which is an avatar. Our consciousness has encompassed it so we can then experience this reality. Then you start to question, why do people suffer? If it was that easy to understand, why aren't we just kind of looking at this as a, roller coaster ride and just enjoying the thrills, spills going up and down, just enjoying this Earth sort of experience, knowing that we're consciousness, knowing that this is temporary, knowing that this is just a ride and we got to one day get off it and give our bodies back. Why do we suffer? Namita says they're programming. Yes, that's right. They become programmed to believe, hey La Luna, how you doing? They become programmed to believe that they are the avatar, that they are physical, that they are their thoughts, they are their feelings. The avatar, the instrument, the emotional system of feeling becomes so seductive and real that it becomes the basis of which they derive their identity from. And now they believe that I am Oscar, I am a man, I have feelings, I am my thoughts, I am a builder, I am a teacher. So you start to define yourself with all these concepts, and now you start to have kind of these belief systems and expectations and assumptions and this and that and religion. And then when things don't go your way, you get so personalized in, oh my God, how could you do this to me? Because you believe that this is you and you did this to me. And I have an expectation that I think I'm this type of person. I'm strong and you've made me feel weak. I'm courageous and you've made me feel weak. People respect me and you've disrespected me. You put me through this, me. And it's a self-preservation of this phantom, illusion or delusion of who I think I am, which creates this kind of, disruption within my own field, my ego construct. And then the backbone on which you feel the intensity of the disruption that challenges your mental identity or construct of who you think you are is called the nervous system. Oh, the flight or fight response makes you feel so fucking real that every little thing that affects you, you're going to feel it. It's almost like putting the VR headset on and the suit and all these gadgets that they've got on. And now you can feel everything and you can touch everything in VR. And the irony is the more advanced we get, the more VR is going to mimic physical reality, because it's the snake that eats its own tail. VR is getting to a point where they're going to put the headset on and you're going to be in this reality. And this is what's happening already. We are AI that's very fucking advanced. I'm talking thousands, millions of years from now. AI has gotten so advanced that it's created this universe. And we just have no idea that we're living in a light matrix holographic fractal universe. It's very hard to understand. I don't completely understand it myself, but I know what fractal means. Fractal it's a never-ending sort of sacred geometrical pattern where it just keeps on repeating itself. It's a light matrix because it's based around light, meaning it's just a fast frequency that is very kind of flexible, if you like. Like it's not dense. It's a matrix because it's a system. It's a system that we don't truly understand, but it's a system of control. And it is holographic because there's a projection coming from a projector. This is a projection because this is not the primary reality. It is a projection of a higher reality, right? And it's no different to if you're playing a video game and the first player character is walking around, who's playing the video game? Now, the first player character in the video game is in an interface called the screen. I'm in an interface called Earth. But now I give the first player character self-awareness. It'll be in the game going, where am I? Well, how am I here? What is this? What is this? And it'll start becoming aware through self-awareness of itself, of its creation, going, who is my God? Who created me? And it'll start kind of finding out through its own sort of self-awareness that, hey, I'm in a game. I'm in a video game. And then there's someone playing it. Who's playing the character? Well, that's your consciousness. That's your higher self. You're playing the first player character. So when you leave and depart this mortal coil called physical reality, you just slip out and you kind of wake up in a higher dimension, which is still within the field of awareness, because awareness is everything that will always be, and that has always been. There is only the one awareness, and that's the most mind-blowing thing about this whole hypothesis. And I'm not saying this is right, and I'm not saying this is wrong. This is just us talking, right? At the end of the day, your truth is your truth. I'm not here to go against your truth. There is no right or wrong. It's whatever you resonate with. The most mind-blowing thing is that there's only one awareness. So whatever is aware within your experience is the same awareness that's within me. It's the same awareness that's within every being. So that this is where the law of one comes in. We are all from the same awareness. It's the same consciousness, you see. It's a one vast space. So what uniquely makes you different to me is your memories. You take your memories out, you take my memories out, we're staring at each other. It's just one awareness looking to another awareness expressed through this physical manifestation called this avatar, which uniquely gives me this feeling of individuality, but that's an illusion only kind of confined in this 3D matrix. You take this awareness out of the 3D matrix, well, I'm now aware of my spiritual body. My spiritual body then becomes observed through the awareness. Because there's different layers to this, in my opinion. You've got the spirit, which we all are connected to the spirit, which is like the ocean. Then you've got the soul. The soul is an expression of spirit, just like this hand. This is the spirit, all right? We are all connected. We are all this, right? Each individual finger, now imagine I've got 5 billion fingers, or however many people there are on this planet. Each finger is a you. It's individualized as you. It's uniquely you. But it's all connected back to the body, which is the consciousness. This is you, this is me, this is 10 billion people. We all are uniquely different. And from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime to lifetime to lifetime, there is data that we are carrying and taking with us called our karmic blueprint. That's why when you wake up in one incarnation, you don't want to kill, you don't want to hurt, you want to love, and you're attracted to this and you're attracted to that because you've learned through the data stream that is kind of within your own quantum computer, Akashic record, if you like, on some level is playing out. It's just so deep within the energy body that it might not be so dominant because we've got this spiritual amnesia when we come here that we forget, but there is something motivating you to be who you are, your signature expression that you haven't learned in one lifetime. And that's why this is so unique, this experience, because the data that you're carrying within your computer is completely different to my data, but the system in which everything is held in is the same. You know, it's just like we are all different hard drives, part of the same sort of matrix computer system. But each hard drive is unique to the experience that the individual has. And this is what gives us these identities. So, you know, you invest, like, for example, like a server. Well said, 7-8 illusion. It's a server. That's right. Oscar, when you get like more aware within your own sort of journey, you start to realize, well, Oscar doesn't exist. Oscar is only relative to this lifetime. My family that I love unconditionally, and like you love your family, we all do, it's only relative to this lifetime, my family members, but they're also part of the same consciousness and awareness, which is an expression of me. So I don't actually lose anyone. I'll lose them physically, which is the nature of reality. We lose everything physically. We just have to accept that as a spiritual being and not be so invested into holding on to something that is impermanent. We lose everything. But the guarantee is that they are all part of us. And I feel that when you get more creative within your sort of own journey, you can manifest certain characters from previous past lifetimes and say, hey, let's go do it all again. You know, I love interacting with that character and that memory of that person. And you can kind of, it's almost like going on a spiritual Facebook. You know, you can just type in anyone's name and they pop up and you can chat to them. I just feel that there is this system that is very creative, and if you wanted to, you could kind of manifest any form you want within that data stream, and they can be manifested within this form. But when you're on that spiritual level, you understand that everything is formless, everything is boundless. So you're not going to be so identified to kind of being with people from one lifetime, because you've had so many families and so many brothers, sisters, parents, which you know, love them all unconditionally the same, that I don't think there's going to be attachment to one family, because you recognize from a higher plane and awareness that you're already all one. You understand what I'm saying? But through the individual perspective, we can't understand that because it's a very localized experience. When you're trying to understand something very non-local from a localized perspective, it's hard to comprehend the power of this non-local field, because you're trying to understand it like the fish would try to understand water. A fish cannot understand the power of water or the ocean, because it's always been there, it always has been there, and it's born into the ocean. The ocean is what it always knows. It doesn't understand the immense power of the ocean, just like we don't understand the immense power of consciousness. It's there, it's always been there, but because it's right in front of our faces, we're experiencing consciousness that we don't understand the power of it, you know? And I personally think that's what's happening here. And a lot of people are consumed in this game of life, and if they want to graduate, they need to wake up. Because if you don't awaken your physical sort of self, your persona, to the spiritual self, then I think that you'll be entangled to physical reality for as long as it takes for you to wake up, right? Because a part of you now is fragmented within this body. Because when consciousness puts itself, when consciousness, the ocean splits itself, because it can split itself into 10 billion versions of itself, well, it split itself into this animation. Now, as this data processor is walking around accumulating data, if I've got all these viruses called trauma that's kind of disrupting my system to be running slow, lethargic, sick, and all this kind of stuff, and then I pass away, soon as I pass away, there is this unhealthy entanglement to the physical. And it's because my resonance as a spiritual field is entangled to the echo or the fragmentation in my physical body. So then I can't resonate and move into the higher dimensions, because there's this entanglement with the physical self. And this is why maybe there are ghosts there are spirits that hang around because it's a fragmentation and echo of suffering, right? Discombobulated spirits. Yes, my friend, I don't know what that word means, but it makes sense. Maybe they're hanging around because it's a fragmentation of a soul that has passed on, right? And at some point, the soul has to come back and liberate that energy. But because there's no time, what once entity could experience thousands of lifetimes is 1 minute for a soul navigating the ether, because it's moving at the speed of thought, speed of light. There is no time. So we can't comprehend why these spirits hang around, but the spirit is a fragmentation. It's an echo. It's not the actual soul. You can never ask the spirit, even if you're a medium, what happens after death? Where do you go? Are there any angels? Like, what's heaven like? It can only give you information, such limited information from its fragmentation. Right? So the aim of the game is to start to become aware of the mechanism of reality, right? And when you start to understand and peel the veil of reality, there's only a few fundamental truths. Now, the fundamental truths are what we've just going over, for me anyway. And I think the biggest one is freedom. You have to achieve internal freedom. And that starts to happen when you start to realize the nature of reality, the impermanence and how fragile that is, and you start to conquer death. Because when you've got a lot of fear towards death, and you've got a lot of fear towards leaving your loved ones behind, and when you start to fear, kind of not having enough time, and there's this fear, you're not free. Because you've been consumed to perceive reality through the identity. And the identity is always going to fear because it feels it's going to lose. It feels it's going to lose because it's separated from source. The more you have fear, the more separated you are. The more you have abundance and love and connection, the more connected you are to source. And that's what happens, you see. As we split from consciousness, the one consciousness, we can get further away, or we can get closer and then tuned in. And I think depending on where you're at in your development, you're either connecting with source or you've disconnected with source. And that's very evident in your narrative, how you use your words, your feelings, your behaviors, your actions. All these types of things are very evident on unification or distortion. Unification or distortion, because you're either unified and you recognize the oneness where you are me and I am you, there is oneness, or you recognize separation and you're here to just kind of, hurt people. And you hurt people by giving them a projection of you. If I want to hurt you and troll you and start to call you names, I'm only hurting myself. So you are actually exposing me to my own level of, connection. So sometimes good people get hurt the most because they're sacrificing themselves to expose the evil, not evil, but disconnection in other people. Do you understand what I mean? So if you find like you're always getting fucked over and you're always getting this, well, you may be a very good person, but you have been put into these experiences because you've given another individual, a part of you, a chance to share love, but they've kind of come with fear and you've exposed them. They've been exposed, so they have to keep repeating that lesson. That's why the best teachers get abused. The strongest teachers keep going for the most challenging experiences because they have sacrificed themselves to help others. But the others haven't awoken up in this lifetime and they've chose darkness to then do bad onto the teacher. And the teacher is just lost going, why does all these... And that's what I feel anyway, because when you start to awaken and you start to go through this transition, you're going to find that, you start to expose people. You start to expose people where they're at. And sometimes when you expose them, they'll throw a lot of negative energy at you and you'll get exposed and you'll be like, oh, fuck you too. And then you'll be very quick to understand, oh, hold on a minute. They just exposed me to a part of myself I'm not free. Well, that was a catalyst. They're just mirroring me. And you start to thank people for exposing you because you've got a higher awareness now because you want to be exposed. Because if you're exposed to all these latent energies that no longer serve you, well, you need someone to kind of surface them so you can liberate it. Because if things are always going good in your life, then you're not really faced with the darkness you've been carrying for generations, because sometimes we have energies haunting us from other lifetimes. And it's almost like an Achilles heel that we're in this lifetime and we really don't know all the reasons why we've incarnated, but sometimes it takes a partner, a best friend, someone close to you to really trigger you to bring out these dormant energies. And my one was anger. My one was anger. I just had a lot of anger within me, and I still have some anger, but it's very easy for me to now feel it and go, okay, I want to be very angry now. I can feel it coming up, and I've just got to go for a walk. I've got to leave this situation, and I'm getting better and better at kind of facing my anger instead of reacting to my anger. I can face it and take responsibility that this is not a you problem, this is a me problem, and this has been haunting me for a very long time, and I will not kind of resonate in the higher dimensions as an energetic being if I have this anger in me. And I'll probably come back for another lifetime to be exposed again, because the physical reality exposes you to your trauma, to your anger. It's a cleansing, this earth school, right? And believe me, like, I truly believe that with all my heart and soul, and you can resonate with it or not, but I like to think I'm a little bit sophisticated, that I've worked out a little bit in my 41 years, and I truly believe, for me, that this physical reality is the cleansing of your trauma, of your unsettled energy, of the energies that have been haunting you for lifetimes. You're here to cleanse, so when you pass away, you can resonate to higher frequencies and be more creative to what you want to experience. You want that spaceship roaming the galaxy, exploring planets. You're not going to do it in the physical body. You're going to do it in a you're going to do it in that ether sort of experience, in a spiritual body. Whatever it is, you're more creative to experiences, but you're not going to have these experiences as a physical being, because there's a lot of suffering here on earth. Maybe not in the West, but in the East, around the world, there's a lot of suffering, a lot of evil, a lot of darkness. So to cleanse yourself, to purify yourself, if you're on that path now, then this is, I personally feel, your last lifetime. I think if you're cleansing yourself daily on a moment-to-moment basis, you are here ready to graduate as a being. And you're not blaming others for your anger. You're not blaming others for your trauma. You're not victimizing yourself. You've started taking responsibility for all your feelings and emotions, and you're starting to look within the microscope, within your own body, to find out what is defective, so you can compose yourself as a being of light that is a beacon of light for everyone and everything that comes in your orbit. You love everyone that's in your orbit. You've got a lot of compassion. You know what I mean? You're just a purified being, right? You're just a purified being, whatever that means to you. And for me, I've never been so zoned in on surfacing the defects in my character. I've never been so zoned in, and you sometimes you got to be real with yourself and look at yourself in the mirror and say, right, like, how can I better myself? How do I unify myself with Source? How do I really tune into my presence? And yeah, okay, I get it. You are awareness. You are infinite consciousness. You are an expression. Like, we know that at our most natural state, we are awareness already. And everything that I'm saying to you is a projection coming from a very conditioned mind, a narrative that is witnessed. I get all that, but I also feel that there's an alignment between mind, body, and soul here. Even though I get the core teachings and insight that come from the ancients about infinite awareness, consciousness, unification with samadhi, Advaita Vedanta, Ramana Maharishi, Who Am I, teaches us about non-dualism. I get all that intellectually. I can feel it experientially. But I still feel that the ego construct has to be neutralized so the awareness can shine through it, right? I feel that you have to the construct has to be fine-tuned so then it can express the nature of self in such a focused way that you make the ego your bitch, right? You make it your bitch. It's your servant, not your master. Do you guys resonate with that? Because once it's your servant, then you can kind of utilize it to experience reality without being so confined and abused by it, right? Because I think there has to be an alignment. Because if I'm so defective here in my mind, I don't think I'm going to be able to connect with such a, deep source of self. I think as I connect with a deep source of self, I'll start to fine tune the construct to reflect what I'm resonating. It'll start to fine tune itself, almost like through neuroplasticity. It'll start to restructure itself, and through that restructuring, through that molding and adapting, then my ego, the construct, becomes a whole different faculty of experience. It's not so confined by the mental chatter, the abuse, this, that. It's not governed by the flight or fight response, always living in fear. I think your electromagnetic energy becomes so strong that the ego goes, yes, master, how can I serve you? Do you know what I mean? And unless you're connected to that, okay, and this is what we're going to do. Like, today we're just going to do one round of breath work because I've got to pick up my daughter. But let's now take time to connect with the construct. Okay, we're going to do 30 breaths. One round today. 30 breaths of the 3-1 breathing. In for 3, out for 1. 10 Superman breaths. Very deep, explosive, powerful breath. 1 DMT breath. 1 breath hold on the exhale, 1 breath hold on the inhale. That's what we're going to do. We're going to repeat it just one round this time. The 3-1 breath is in through the nose 3 times, right? Superman breath is in through the mouth, out through the mouth. Right? And the DMT breath is, all the yogis in the chat room, the DMT breath is when you're doing all your bandhas and you're locking everything in and you are just igniting the Kundalini energy for that amazing DMT experience. Then you got the Kumbhakas, Bahir Kumbhaka, which is the breath hold on the exhale. Then you got the Antara Kumbhaka, Sanskrit term that basically means the breath hold on the inhale, all part of the pranayama sort of practices. And we're going to do all that in one breath work. It's the basis in which we do in this community called Energy Detox. Generally 3 rounds, but today we're going to do it for 1 round. But make sure, if you're new here, after you do your 10 Superman breaths, on the 11th one, lock your anus muscles, suck your core in, just lock everything in, right? And just hold it in for as long as you can. Just in time, TJ. Ready? In 30 3-1 breaths, 10 Superman breaths, 1 DMT breath hold on the exhale, breath hold on the inhale, and then just relax. In 3, 2, and 1. Let's go, guys. Superman breaths. breath, we just bring our attention back into the body. And we just feel our essence and presence that we've built up through the practice. And just connecting with this stillness. Allowing your being to be no thing, experiencing no place in no time. And at your own pace, in your own time, when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Thank you for practicing. I've got strong vibration. Don't chase it, my brother. Don't chase it. Just let every round be unique and just connect with your source. Be grateful. And as long as you're doing this daily, some days you're going to experience something powerful. Some days it's just to kind of stay true to the practice, but don't ever chase anything. Just allow the experience to happen. And that way you don't have any expectation for the practice, or else you'll be kind of comparing one practice to another and you'll feel like one practice isn't as good as the other practice. And I used to do that a lot. But now, even if it's a small practice, I'm just thankful. I'm grateful that I got it in, and I just staying true to the habit, because some days we're going to have time to do 3 rounds, 5 rounds, some days 1 round, but we want to do it daily. We want to stay committed. We want to let go of expectations, and we kind of just want to stay true to kind of connecting and tuning in with our bodies. And this promotes good health, good well-being. And it's just something that we do like we're brushing our teeth. It's a ritual. It's like religion to us, and we do it because it allows us to connect to me. No, you're not interrupting, man. No need to be sorry, brother, because I was finished anyway. Never be sorry, man. The Monday to Thursday, guys, around this time, this is the time around, generally it's between around whatever time it is right now where you're at. Just say it's 9 o'clock. It's from, say, 6 to 9 within that 3-hour window. Okay. Thank you, guys. That's it for today. Hope you had a good session. Thank you for all the new members that joined in and that resonated with the channel and the chat. Welcome you guys to keep joining us for a regular breathwork practice. I'm not here on the weekends, but you can find some of the breathwork practices on my page or on YouTube. YouTube is just Oscar Phoenix. I don't have many followers on YouTube, but I'm just putting my work out there. If you resonate with it, it's there. I'll be putting on another breathwork practice today on the channel. So I've got hundreds of breathwork practices that I've recorded. So slowly, we'll start to build that up. So if you can't make it, log into one of the posts. There's some really good breathwork practices there to keep up with your daily practice. Thank you so much, guys. We had a really good chat. Emma says that space gets harder to feel after the first experience. Still amazing. Yeah, keep it up, Emma. Keep your daily practice up. And again, it's something we do every day. And some days I've had some powerful experiences. Today, it was just good just to reconnect, and that's what it's about, guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for your support. Until next time, guys, stay blessed. Oscar from Stress Fit. Speak to you guys soon. Bye for now.